flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Mayor,
Sir.
we have a pleasure today to have with us to lead us in the prayer, the Honorable Joe Stevens from the Newburgh Baptist Church, City of Inkster.
Shall we pray? Eternal God, our Father, we come in the mighty and the matchless name of Jesus. We thank you, O God, for just the opportunity to serve your people. God, we ask your blessings upon this meeting. We ask your blessings upon this council and mayor, all of these administrators. And God, we ask that you would infiltrate this city. Let your presence be known and let your spirit be felt in the midst of this city. God, let righteousness reign over unrighteousness. Let civility be over incivility. God, we love you now. And so, Father, we invite you in this place, in this house, oh God. Lead us and guide us in the way you would have us to go. And, Father, let us do what is right for your people, for this city. And, Father, we'll be forever careful to give you the praise, the glory, and the honor. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Pastor. Roll call, please.
Mayor Wimberly.
Here.
Councilwoman Watley.
Present.
Councilwoman Washington.
Present.
Councilman Shaw.
Here.
Councilwoman Howard. Here. Councilman Williams.
Here.
And Councilman Chisholm.
Here.
We have 7 present tonight, Mayor. We do have a quorum.
All right. Moving right along. Jerome Bivens, new hires.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, department heads, viewing audience, and the audience here. Today I stand before you to introduce 2 of my newer hirees that have just joined the City of Inkster Water and Sewer Department as Water Sewer Maintenance. We have Mr. Tyrone Bohannon and Mr. Travis Hill. My third individual, he has not made it here yet, but his name is Rodney Bell. So I have 3 new hires, as the mayor told y'all in orientation. I'm glad to have the help. I'm gonna ask for some more help in the next budget. But because we have a lot going on in the water department right now, as demand is up, and so the more help I get, we can do a lot more for the city of Inkster. And I appreciate the mayor and Mr. Karen working with me to get the opportunity to bring these young men in. So, I got anything.
All right, guys. You're going to do us proud.
Yeah.
You had something else, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. All right, good then. Before we get all the way off into the presentations, the chair would like to recognize all of our dignitaries that's here in the audience. I see our distinguished representative, my main man, Jewel Jones. You want to step up, Rep, and say something to us? Main guy.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, administration, citizens. I guess I'm happy to be here at another council meeting. Some stuff we're working on personally right now. I know Pastor Overman is going to be talking about something dealing with some of the foreclosures when she speaks later, but some things we've just working on regarding criminal justice reform and some stuff regarding colleges and universities. Just been talking to some folk about parking fees on campuses. I'm still in school, and so, they're charging these students all these crazy fines. Right. And so if you're already paying tuition, we feel like you shouldn't have to pay parking fines on college campuses. And so this is just one way that the college students and some other folk on social media have started to get more active. I think I would like to extend that same kind of conversation with everyone here in the audience and with you all as well. Is, for us to legislate, we can come up with all kind of radical ideas. A lot of things that are common sense sometimes, but we just don't talk about it. And so we definitely are looking to do some more common sense legislation. Because if you've been paying attention to some of the things that we've been passing at the state capitol, has been very interesting. And so that's really it for me, though. Do we have any questions or?
Any questions? Thank you for
Wonderful.
your service.
Thank you. Thank you.
You'll holler. You'll holler at you next. A voice that I always love to hear from, Glenn Anderson, Representative Mary McClendon is here, and I'm pretty sure you'd like to address us. Please come forward. All right.
Thank you, Mayor and Council, to all the dignitaries that are here, to the CFO, and to the fine citizens of Inkster and the city clerk as well. I bid you greetings from the office of Wayne County Commissioner Glenn Anderson. And I just have a few reminders for you. I want to remind you that the park schedules will be out soon. They'll come out in April. That's the earliest date that they will be available. And when they come out, when I come to Inkster, I will make sure I bring some of those park schedules with me so that you can have them, the citizens can have them, and you can partake of the activities at the parks. Many times we say there's nothing to do, but the Wayne County Park System has a lot to do, and much of it is free. So I'll make sure I bring those park schedules with me when they are available. Also, I'd like to remind each and every one of you of the March 10th primary election for our presidents. By party. I want to remind you it's by party, so be sure to know who it is you want to vote for. I'm sure the clerk will remind you of that as well, but there'll be individuals on your ballot, possibly, that's not currently in the race. So make sure you know who it is. You don't want to vote for someone that's no longer running because you want your vote to matter. So be sure that's March 10th. Everybody, I urge you to please go out and vote in the presidential primary election. Also, I have a reminder of the coffee hours, which is on March 9th. That's the next one. That's next week. They're always the second Monday of every month. And here in Inkster, it's from 12 until 1 o'clock at the Western Wayne Family Health Care Center, which is at 2700 Hamlin Boulevard. I know you have a good person here in Inkster working with the census, but I do want to remind each and every one of you to please partake of the 2020 census. I'm sure you know what your population was 10 years ago, and I certainly know that you don't want to lose in population. If anything, you want to grow, because with growth comes money. So you want to make sure that you have all of your individuals counted here in the city of Inkster. Let us not forget homeless population. I'm sure there's folks here in Inkster that are homeless, and I'm sure there's individuals that have some idea where they are. So they need to be counted as well. Let us not forget our homeless. The seniors, I'm sure we can come up with our seniors pretty well, but we need to make sure that we have our homeless population counted. Also, I just want to tell you, one of the first things that's coming up on the park schedule before we have the book is the marshmallow drop. You have a lot of children here in Inkster, so the marshmallow drop will be April the 10th from 11 until 12 o'clock at the Nankins Mills site in Westland on Ann Arbor Road. So that's all that I have for you, and it's always a pleasure to be here in the fine city of Inkster. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Oscar from Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib's office, you're here. Did you have something from our distinguished Congresswoman? Thank you, sir.
Good evening, City Council, Mayor, and good folks of Inkster. I just have a quick little update, and it's going to be for our coffee hour. The Congresswoman's Congress Coffee Hour and Conversation. The next installation is going to be in Wayne, the city of Wayne, at the Hype Athletics. It's going to be Tuesday. Pardon me. It's going to be Tuesday, March 17th, from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. So Congress Coffee and Conversations will be Tuesday, March 17th from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. at the Hype Athletics on Howe Road. And that's all I have.
All right,
Thank you so much.
Did you say the height?
Hold on one second, Oscar. You did say
You say
height.
the height?
Height.
Okay, height, okay.
It's 6 p.m.? It's 7:30 p.m.
6 p.m. to 7:30.
Good.
I'll roll.
Trustee Wheeler, I see you over there. You can just wave your hand. I know we're going to talk a little bit more. I see you back there. Okay. President of the 13th Congressional District, Jonathan Kinlock, did you want to have words or you just want to wave your hand? All right, good, perfect. All right then, so let's move right on into our presentation. We have a distinguished guest with us today, Assistant Secretary of State. Oh, I'm sorry, did I just jump into your agenda without approving it? I'm sorry. You gotta slow me down sometime. I'm trying to get through it. All right. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Move, Mr. Chair.
Support.
It's been moved and supported with the added changes. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it, motion carry. All right then, so we know we jumped into Jerome. We have the honorable guest with us, Assistant Secretary of State, Hester
Wheeler. Yes,
Wheeler.
sir.
Exactly. I
Say,
think it was right.
thank you so much, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, everybody.
Good evening.
I am so excited to be here for a couple of reasons. First of all, I understand you guys have put together a committee to figure out who might come before you and speak, and somebody has suggested you find the most handsome brother you could find.
All right.
I'm just teasing. But it is my pleasure. I am Hester Wheeler. I serve as Assistant Secretary of State for Michigan. Jocelyn Benson is our new Secretary of State. But I am particularly pleased to come because there's so many good things that I really want to start off by saying thank you to all of Inkster and to all of the voters. We've got a brand new set of voting rights here in Michigan. We anticipate record voter turnout in every election, and there are some voting rights that I really just want to touch upon in the next couple of quick moments. I'm particularly looking forward, Miss Felicia Rutledge, I'm looking forward to getting to know you. You've got one of the most awesome responsibilities over these next three elections, a little more so than anybody else. But we've got Proposals 2 and Proposals 3 change the political landscape. Michigan has an opportunity now to go from worst to first in a lot of ways. And I think most of you know Proposal 2 is the Redistricting Commission. And if you don't know, you really don't have to be an expert to serve on that redistricting commission. We're going to appoint 13 commissioners. There's a $40,000 stipend that comes with that appointment. And I know you might not need it necessarily, but it's a good it's a good opportunity. You don't have to be an expert. We're going to surround you with technicians who will help you to learn how to draw political lines. You've got about 15 forums that you will need to sponsor across the state. And if you want more details about that, go to redistrictingmichigan.org. There's a ton of good details. We've got about 3,000 people that have already made, over 6,000 people that have already made application. We've certified just over 3,000. So I strongly urge you to give that an extra look, redistrictingmichigan.org. The other thing that I'd love to talk about is Proposal 3 is no excuse absentee voting. That's particularly significant because it removes barriers. There's nothing significant about voting on a Tuesday. Some people have child care issues or work-related issues where they really can't get there. Some people are concerned about long lines on Election Day. And we like to use this example. I think many of you might know the state of Oregon, for example, has no polling places. They vote 100% by mail, and they enjoy 65 to 70% voter participation. We can change the paradigm in our community if we educate people on the benefits of voting by mail. They get to take their time from the comfort of their dining room table, study the candidates, study the issue. We are already beginning to see an uptick in applications. Is that your experience already, Madam Clerk?
Yes.
We're typically in a lot of communities, absentee ballots are 30 to 35% of the total. We anticipate they will likely exceed 50% this year. Record voter turnout. From all indications, in the March election, the August election, and then again, of course, in November. The other aspect is same-day voter registration. This is a game changer also, because that removes another barrier, 30 days in advance being registered, that's going away. The reason that's particularly significant, we had 3 elections last year in various places around the state of Michigan, May, August, and again in November. I think about 600 plus people registered and voted in May. It was about 1,200 in August, and then over 2,000 registered and voted on Election Day. Why is that significant? Because 80% of those people who registered and voted on the election day last year were all under age 30. So what that says to us is that young people might not pay attention until you get closer to election day. It's a significant new voting right, and we encourage you to take advantage of it. A ton of information on the Secretary of State's website. We just want to be a resource, and we got a lot at stake. So I'm happy to be here in Inkster. I see Mr. Darren Carrington. I mean, a lot of my friends, Legina Washington and I sat next to each other, and you got David Jones out here. I don't get much better than this.
All right.
Firefighter back in the 80s, so I've already had to pay homage to your fire chief. And you and I have had some conversations, so I look forward to knowing you better.
Yes,
all right? So I just wanted to highlight, a lot is at stake. I'm sure you're doing the exact same education, and however and whenever we can be a resource, that's our commitment.
Good. Any questions from this body?
Question, Mr. Chair.
Councilman?
Two questions. Were you at the MLBC celebration?
Michigan Legislative, I was there.
Okay, I met you.
Yes, sir, I remember.
You didn't address me at the meeting. Nobody.
Yolanda Luckett is she's been telling me to get out here. Legina told me the exact same thing. Jewel Jones told me the exact same thing.
Thank you,
Did you
Yolanda.
say hello?
I shook your hand with Preston Peterson.
Oh, okay.
I just mess with you. And the second,
Couple of other.
and
Yes,
the
sir.
second thing, since we got you on the hot seat.
Yes, sir.
Wait times at the Secretary of State.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let me say. Go ahead, ask your question.
I just brought it up.
We did promise 30 minutes or less in our campaign. Let me tell you this: there are 99 different transactions that you can perform at the Secretary of State branch. 49 of them you can do them online.
Yeah.
We just installed 115 new, we call them self-service stations or kiosks. And every Myers or every Kroger, you will see those kiosks. So we encourage people to go online and see what's available. But the one way that guarantees you get in and out in 30 minutes or less is what?
Have all your paperwork.
Make an appointment.
Make an appointment. Yep.
Make an appointment. One of the things we're experiencing is that a lot of people's license plate or driver's license might expire on the 8th or the 11th or the 16th, but they might not come to the branch until the 28th or the 29th or the 30th, and that's when the lines are worse. So we really just want to remind you that, like, if your driver's license says it expires on the 8th or the 12th or the 16th, after that day, you're really driving dirty. So it doesn't mean it expires at the end of the month. It actually expires on that day. So make an appointment. You can get in and out. And while we're here, Real ID, you guys all understand what that means?
Please talk about that. That was my question.
That's a Real ID.
On your license.
Yes, sir. Yeah, if you have a flag or a star on your driver's license, you're already there.
Everybody in order, please.
Yeah. So this was a federal government requirement. It came out of the whole TSA experience, September 11, 2001. The Secretary of State has the responsibility to implement. October 1, 2020 is the deadline. You don't really have to do anything if you want to continue to carry your passport, but if you want that enhanced license experience, your driver's license will become the equal of a driver's license and a passport combined. It will have a bunch of your information on that driver's license. When you go into the Secretary of State's office for your regular renewal, it's free. If you go any other time, there is a fee. But what this does is it allows you to travel in and out of places like the Caribbean islands or Mexico or Canada or in and out of any federal building with just that driver's license. If you have the flag, that's really that's what you want, or the star in the upper right corner.
Mr. Chair, just real quick.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Willett, how do we make the appointment?
You can go online and make the appointment. You can do it from your phone. It's pretty easy. Okay?
Mr. Chair?
Please.
You know, I made an appointment online.
Yes. How did it work?
It
Was
worked
it a good experience?
Yes.
Okay, please speak louder.
I made an appointment online to go to Secretary of State to get my enhanced license.
Yes.
And I walked in there 15 minutes before my appointment. My appointment time, they called me up to the window.
Yes.
So, and I'm looking at all these people like, guys, gotta go and apply. I mean, go online.
Yes.
So we should encourage everybody because the lines are long, especially over here.
They're loan everywhere. Honestly, in suburban communities and rural communities, they are loan. And let me just give you one bit of history that we're working to overcome. Since 2004, 55 Secretary of State branches were closed.
Right.
You follow me? And so very often it depends on who's in charge. The city of Detroit, for example, has 650,000 people that live in the city. We have 5 Secretary of State branches.
Wow.
The city of Grand Rapids has 190,000 people that live in their city. Guess how many branches they have? 5.
Wow.
So it depends on who's in charge. You might remember we had Mr. Austin from 1971 to 1995. Then we had Candace Miller for 8 years, Terry Lynn Land for 8 years, and Ruth Johnson for 8 years. So I'm just saying what I'm saying.
Right. I understand.
Follow me? So I appreciate the opportunity to be here. Thank you so very much.
One other question, Councilwoman Wiley?
Yes, the kiosk that you have, I'm assuming you have to use credit or debit or something. Is there a fee?
There is a fee.
Okay.
Yep, there is a fee, yes. I don't know what it is, but there is a fee. And I know you can't use cash. I know that also. So I appreciate the opportunity to come before you. Thank you so much.
for
Congratulations
checking
to
out
you,
the
Mayor. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
All good?
All right.
Thank you so much.
Good. All right, Plant Moran. Brian, Plant Moran. Audit presentation.
Yes, please. Yes, please.
Troy.
Troy's going to take care of our IT for just a second, but good evening. Nice to see everyone again. My name is Brian Kamler. I'm a partner with Plant Moran, and I'm responsible for our services delivered to the city of Inkster. With me tonight is Michelle Lewis. Michelle is new to the Inkster team, but she's been with Plant Moran for 13 years, exclusively serving local units of government among her client base, including a few of your neighbors. So she's very
You guys
familiar.
here in the back there? I feel like you guys can't hear, and I'm up in the front, and I feel like you can't hear me.
Let me try that again. Is the microphone, is this better?
Is that better now? You need to turn it up a little bit? Okay.
How about now?
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So I was before you a few months ago when your audit was not yet complete. And I gave you a rundown on the estimated results for the year ended June 30, 2019. Since that time, your audit was completed by the firm Raymond. I offered and they accepted to allow me to present the final audit results, which we will then follow with a budget amendment. So we spoke about this in December. And the numbers really did not change for the year ended June 30, 19. But we do know what the auditor's opinion is now. So the end result of the audit, it's like your report card. It's the auditor's opinion where they say whether or not your financial statements are accurate and can be relied upon. And the answer is yes, they can be relied upon. They are accurate. And you received from them an unmodified opinion. That is, it's a goofy terminology, I understand that. But it does mean that your financial statements are complete and accurate and follow the rules being generally accepted accounting principles. That is the highest level of assurance that you can receive on your audit. It's like getting an A on your report card. Now, while they do the audit and they say that the financial statements are complete and accurate, they also give us a side report on the city's internal controls. And so that's not really a pass-fail, but they point out things that need improvement. And so they rely on your internal controls, and the internal controls operated effectively enough that they could render their unmodified opinion. But they did cite us for 6 different material weaknesses and 1 significant deficiency. Those items, many of them are repeat items, some of which have to do with the fact that you operate a pretty lean operation and you don't have a 50-person finance department. And so there are some things that are just naturally going to slip through the cracks. Now, once you receive this report, the city then has to turn around and tell the state of Michigan, here's how we plan on fixing these things. That report has been submitted and can be found on the State of Michigan Department of Treasury website. And so we'll be working with CFO Carrington to implement all of those practices to the best of the city's ability so we can try to make some, if not all of those things, disappear for the next audit. The auditors also noted instances of non-compliance. What that means is that as it relates to your budget, there were a few departments that ran over budget. Now, that happens because even if an amendment comes to you before June 30th, at the time, finance isn't aware of every single service that's being performed for the city, of every single purchase that's being made by the city until those invoices come in the mail. And those invoices don't come in the mail until July, August, and even into September. So it's very difficult to know or estimate by the end of June everything that's going to come in. And so there are a handful of departments that ran over budget as of June 30. Now, I mentioned this in December, and I'll mention it again. Even though you got an A on your report card, that is not saying that the city's fiscal position is strong. It is not a commentary on how much money you have in the bank. It's purely a commentary on the accuracy and the reliability of the financial statement. The auditors don't give you a thumbs up or thumbs down or thumbs in the middle as to how much money you have in the bank. And so that's why we've prepared other slides so that we can explain some of those points. So for those of you that were here in December when I spoke the last time, some of these will look familiar to you. A couple are new. And then when we get to the end of this, then I'll turn it over to Michelle to cover the highlights of the budget amendments. So what we have on this slide is the total revenues and expenses of the general fund by year going back to 2013. And what you'll notice in 2013, 14, 15, 16, 17 is that revenues exceeded expenses. And so for those years, you had income. For those years, you added to your fund balance. 2018 approximately broke even. And you can see the turn now in fiscal years 19 and 20 where expenses exceeded revenues. When this happens, you have basically a loss for the year and you use up some of your savings account. You use up some of your fund balance. Now, there's an asterisk on 2020 because I did want to point out, and you'll see it a little bit later, that the 2020 includes the budget amendment that Michelle's going to cover. And if you just look at this graph, you go, well, 2019, we lost a certain amount of money, but 2020 is looking to be better. That is not indicative of an improvement in your operations. What happened is in 2019, there was approximately $800,000 of revenue that we weren't allowed to count. The accounting rules for government are very specific that if you don't get that money within 60 days of year end, you don't get to count it. And so we had a lot of grant revenue and some state shared revenue that the state was withholding that didn't get to count in 19. Now it gets to be counted in 20. So just looking at this graph, the year 2020 looks better than 19, but that is not the case. 2020 is projecting out to be worse than 2019. And in 2019, you lost 1.8 million, but 800,000 of that was related to that missing revenue. So really, the operations for 19 were $1 million in the hole, and this year is closer to that 1.8. This is your fund balance history going back to 2013. So you see in 2013 and 14, it's actually a negative number. It's below zero. And because you had net revenues in those years and in subsequent years, you were able to climb out of that hole. Your fund balance peaked in 2017. 2018 had a little bit of a dip. 2019, it dipped a lot. 2020, if actual results mirror your budget, you'll be just under $1 million of fund balance come the end of the year. So again, similar to the last graph, the drop from 2018 to 19 is more significant on paper than from 19 to 20, but 2020 is worse because of that $800,000 of revenue. The end result at June 30, 2020 is the same regardless. So what this graph is showing is the tax revenue and tax capture, property tax revenue and tax capture for the city going back to 2009, really the first full year of the Great Recession. And so what I was trying to accomplish with this graph was to demonstrate how much property tax revenue the city of Inkster has lost since 2019 due to the decline in taxable values that, while they've leveled out, have never come back. And because of the way our tax system in Michigan works, it can't come back even if your taxable value or the market values of your homes start to inch up. We're limited by Proposal A to the lesser of 5% or inflation, whichever is lower. And in Michigan, that inflation is about 2.5%. So the problem with this graph, though, is that in the city of Inkster, on a year-to-year basis, you have a variety of different judgment levies. So in order to pay legal settlements, a judge rules that you have to tax an additional amount to your residents. And those judgment levies fluctuate year to year. So it's, in the year 2012, you didn't have a great influx of tax revenue other than those judgment levies. So this graph doesn't really show what I want it to, but in total, since the decline started in 2010, the city has lost approximately $20 million in total, had you just received the same amount every year since 2009. So then I thought to myself, can I come up with a better graph to show you the impact of your taxable value losses? And I think I did. I came up with this. So if you exclude judgment levies, because your TIFA, your DDA, your brownfield, those component units, their revenue is derived from tax capture. So it takes some of the revenue away from your existing millages, but it doesn't capture from judgment levies. So this line graph is showing the tax capture in the TIFA and the brownfield for the same period of time. So the DDA doesn't capture anymore because it actually has a lower taxable value now than it did when it was created. So just from the TIFA and brownfield, this is what their tax revenue has done since 2009. So as you can see, it has fallen a great deal under that 2009 line. So I think that really tells you what has happened here. This is your number one way in order to generate revenue and pay your bills. So it's very, very difficult to maintain the same standard of living as a city, to maintain the same spending, the same public safety, the same staffing. It's very difficult to maintain that when this is what happens to your revenue. Now, you were doing quite a good job if you go back to these previous graphs. You were able to live within your means for several years. And sometime in the last couple of years, that's flipped. There hasn't been as much of an emphasis on containing that spending. And the city needs to get back to that because at the current pace, you'll end up going out of your fund balance. You'll use it all up. And you'll look a lot closer to 2013 and 2014. We want to prevent that to the best of your ability. So do we have enough fund balance? I think you know the answer to this question before I answer it. According to the GFOA, the Government Finance Officers Association, their minimum recommendation is 2 months of operations. 2 divided by 12 is 16.67. Your internal city policy is a little bit lower than that. According to your policy, you're okay having 10 to 15% of a year's expenditures in fund balance. I think that's okay. It does leave you susceptible to trouble. And so now at June 30, 19, with 1.87 million of fund balance, you're at 11%. So you're still in your policy. So that's okay. But as we saw, you're in decline. If 2020 happens as budgeted, you'll be down to less than $1 million, approximately $970,000, or 5.88%. So June 30.
Current amendments?
with the amendment that we're proposing, that it has not been approved yet, but the amendment is not a change in plan. The amendment doesn't reflect, we're going to do things differently for the next 4 months. The amendment is to catch up your budget so it mirrors what you're doing right now.
Right, and that's what I wanted to make sure that we were clear on, and everyone understood that. We
Yes,
still have to make significant changes.
yes. There are decisions that will be difficult that need to be made and quite possibly painful to different people, whether they're active employees or to the level of service received by the constituents, the taxpayers of the city of Inkster. But this trend has to be altered. It has to be changed. You're currently on the downslope. You need to change direction and get back on the upslope. What this table shows is your unfunded legacy costs, so that is your unfunded pension and unfunded retiree health care. So your pension systems, and you have two, the general employees retirement system and the police and fire system, are pretty well funded. So presently, or at least as of the June 30, 2019, the two systems were 72 and 71% funded. That's actually pretty good. The state, before they come down on you, their benchmark is 60%. So you're still well above where their threshold for coming back at you. However, in 2015, these systems were 85 and 79% funded. So in the last 4 or 5 years, you've lost some funding. And so part of that is people live longer. Part of that is investment returns haven't necessarily been as much as the actuarial assumptions were. More people have entered the system, which then drives up the liability. But you're still in good shape today. That may not continue. If you go down another, 13 and 8%, then you're going to be approaching or past that 60% threshold, and the state will be all over you on that. Related to retiree health care, you already made a big change by implementing a stipend for the retirees. So the fact that you have $8 to $9 million unfunded, that's not bad at all compared to other cities your size. In fact, that's actually very good, but it's only because you did that stipend. If you still offered Blue Cross or another insurance provider, if you offered policies to the retirees, that number would skyrocket. It would be 50 or 80 or 100 million. I work with some of your neighbors, that number is over $100 million. So it's a very good thing, it was a very responsible thing for the city to move to this stipend. The retiree health care plan is 0% funded, but that's okay. It's called pay-as-you-go. And so every month or every year, you're just paying in what you have to deliver that stipend to the retirees. And that is fine. If you had extra money and wanted to pre-fund, I would certainly encourage it. But given what we've seen on these previous slides, that's probably not at the top of the agenda right now. So switching gears, we've only been talking about general fund primarily. This is your water and sewer fund, the net cash position. So this is cash after payable, or less the interfunds to, which could be payables or receivables, activity with other funds. You've done a very good job since 2013 of accumulating additional cash, which can be used for system improvements. So I love the shape of this graph. I love the upward swing. And the fact that you have over $6 million in the bank, that's a good thing. It's certainly not too much money. Why is it not too much money? Because you have a lot of capital to do. The asset management plan calls for $60 million of improvements to the system. Jerome can correct me on this. I don't know if we have a final number for the Rouge Valley. Not yet. So we know that's coming, that it's not going to be insignificant. It's not 60 million, but it's still going to be multi-million-dollar number. And then you also have lead line replacement that needs to be done, over $2 million, which can be spread over several years. But the sum total of this is a lot more than the $6.5 million that you have in the bank. And so a funding source needs to be identified. You have the possibility of going through the state to borrow money. Perhaps there's an ability to issue your own bonds, but you're going to have to spread this out. If this work needs to be done in the next 3 to 5 years, there's no way to raise rates to that level to cover this multi-million-dollar worth of improvements. So really, your to-do list related to water and sewer is to get the final numbers on these projects and then identify how you want to pay for them, over how many years you want to pay for them. Do you need to find a partner in the state of Michigan or elsewhere? And then continue updating the water and sewer financial model. That we do that as part of the budget every year, and the mayor has given his approval for us to do that again this year. Totally different, change of pace, the major and local street funds. These also are in pretty good shape. You've got quite a bit of money stockpiled there. So in 2019, the major street fund generated a surplus of just under $200,000, leaving ending fund balance of $2.8 million. Local streets used fund balance, so you spent more than you brought in, but that was okay. It was planned. It was for projects. And there's still $3.8 million left there as of June 30, 2019. So in total, you have $6.6 million of fund balance in the road funds. Will that repave the entire city? Of course not even close. But you do have some ability on a project-by-project basis, depending on the needs, depending on the wants, you do have some ability to put some money back into the streets. And with that, that concludes the audit portion of the presentation. Now, Michelle is going to talk about the budget amendments, and we have a list of things that revenues that we didn't recognize previously in the budget, and we're going to add them, but also expenses that were not previously in the budget, and now we have to recognize them. The first several slides are all general fund related, and then there's also amendments related to roads, and I believe the other one, Parks and Rec. Yes, thank you very much. So to the mayor's point earlier, this isn't the plan on how to get yourself out of a hole over the next couple months. This is reflecting things that either already happened or are trending to happen from the first 8 months of the year and now the last 4 months of the year. So all this amendment is doing, it's not an authorization to spend any more money, buy any more things, hire any more people. It's about getting the budget to match up with what you're already committed to doing or have, in some cases, have already done. But the budget needs to reflect the actual reality of what you're doing. And that's all this amendment is. So with that, I'll turn it over to Michelle.
All right, thank you. Okay, so if you looked at your general fund, your original budget at the beginning of the year, you had revenues that equaled expenditures. As we went through the year, you've seen that your original budget revenues were a little too aggressive in certain categories, such as property taxes, sale of land, charges for services, and court fines. However, as Brian noted before, there also was significant grant revenues that came in. So when you do your budget amendment tonight, your net revenue will actually increase in the budget amendment. However, your original budget expenditures were significantly too low. And because of that, the increase to the budgeted expenditures is actually greater than the increase in the revenues. So the net budget amendment reduces the fund balance by $900,000, as Brian mentioned in that graph that was a few slides back. Reduces fund balance by $970,000, and that brings your fund balance down to about $900, or it reduces it by $900 to $970,000. But now remember, this includes $800,000 of revenue that was earned in the prior year but received in the current year. So your actual operations resulted in a net loss of $1.7 million. So the bottom line here is that the city currently has a structural deficit, and that means revenues are not enough to continue to support the city's current level of spending. Now, I'll go into the details here, and we'll talk about some of the significant additions to revenues, the significant reductions to revenues, and then the same on the expenditures. So some of those grants that Brian talked about, $493,000 in grant revenue for ambulance, PD vehicles, street lighting, LED light bulbs, $544 from prior year revenue that was recognized in the current year, $150 more grant revenue for the amphitheater. As Brian mentioned, some of that state shared revenue came in this year as well. $60,000 for a sale of an ambulance, $549,000 for a judgment levy, and $108,000 for the SAFER grant. So it's important to note there's a lot of additions to your revenue, but a lot of those additions have a corresponding expenditure. And as we go into the expenditure lines, you'll see we're also increasing the budget to reflect those expenditures. If we look at where you came in short on your revenue predictions, property taxes came in about $186,000 less than what you had budgeted. There was a sale of land that was budgeted at $520,000. Now that did have an offsetting expense, so you really ended up losing, I'm sorry, what?
Partially offset.
Yeah, partially offsetting. So you ended up losing about $300,000 on that. Ambulance transport fees, business registration, district court fines, those are all things that are very difficult to predict at the beginning of the year. So they did come in about $500,000 under where you had expected them to come in. Significant additions to expenditures. We talked about some of those things that are one-time costs versus some of those things that are operational. Building maintenance came in higher. Part of that was the LCD lighting upgrade because of that grant funding. The city attorney, part of that was the Brown judgment, which we talked about in the revenues. The police, you had overtime, pension, fuel, vehicle maintenance came in $160,000 over. $441,000 for fire. Part of that was some capital, new ambulance, which was covered by the grant, wages, overtime, that sort of thing. Your code enforcement wages, about $65,000. $220,000 for public works. Again, a lot of that is the capital improvements, but also wages. Community development, capital outlay for the amphitheater. You see the corresponding grant in the increase to the revenue. And special events, the Summerfest, $66,000. Those are all additions to the expenditures on your budget.
Let me just ask you a question. Go back to that slide.
Yes.
66,000.
So you can ask that question, but the 116 for the community development for capital outlay for the amphitheater, what was that?
So that is, so the grant that's here, the $150,000 amphitheater grant, if that is actually spent, that has the corresponding expenditure there.
So the 116,000 has been spent already?
No, it hasn't.
Okay.
So because we received the money, so we wouldn't be essentially overstating the revenues.
Yeah.
We just included we included in the budget an offsetting expense so that it wouldn't have an artificial positive impact on the budget by just recording the revenues and not recording the expense. No monies have been expensed on it, but just from a budgetary standpoint so that we, again, portray it so that it doesn't artificially have a positive impact by us just recording the revenues.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you have a question as it relates to that slide, sir?
Yeah, what he made mention of is that it hasn't been spent. What line item is it under? What line item is it under?
It's under community development. I believe it's.
So while you're looking for that, then, to Councilman Williams was saying the $66,000 for the Summerfest, is that money that was actually spent out of the general fund?
Yes.
Okay, so my question is, number one, it was told that it wouldn't be any money taken out of the general fund for the Summerfest. Now, we come back and saying we spent $66,000?
Well, it was presented to council in the city that the expenses were going to be covered by money that was going to be raised. It was always understood that it was going to pass through the general fund. we did not, we had not, the city did not raise enough to offset the expenses. That's not the net cost to the city, because there were some monies that were raised, both last fiscal year and this fiscal year, that offset some of that expenditure.
The expenses were not budgeted, so this is putting them into the budget.
Right. And most of that was budgeted for there was some that was budgeted for last fiscal year.
Okay. Continue, I'm sorry.
Okay. So in addition to the additions to expenditures, there were also reductions. For the district court, there was a $44,000 reduction, and that was mainly due to the MIDC grant that the city received, so you didn't have to spend as much out of the general fund for court-appointed attorneys. The other item, $239,000, that purchase of land that I mentioned that offset the revenue. So moving on from, sure, go ahead.
Before you go further, can you go back? Can you go back?
Stay,
to
hold
that?
on, first, hold on, through the chair to stay in order.
I'm sorry, please, Chair.
So what are you guys trying to get done?
The economic development, purchase of land.
Right, right.
Go back one slide.
No, he's on it right now.
Oh, is this on the slide you want to
She's
hear
on it
now?
right now.
Right.
So let's do this first so we be in order. Question, Mayor Pro Tem.
Can you explain that? The 239,000?
Yeah. So this is where we're reducing the expense. We're basically saying we are projecting that we're going to spend less than what was initially budgeted. And the reason being is that that's tied to the city's neighborhood stabilization program. When we make the budget, we don't know exactly how many homes we're going to be purchasing. So at the time we did the budget, we budgeted more than what we ended up actually purchasing.
Okay.
So the budget included us spending about $240,000 more than what we actually did. So this amendment lowers the expenditure by $240,000. And the thing to keep in mind with that NSP program, that's offset by revenue. The city doesn't have a net cost for that program. We actually generate some revenues to offset the administrative costs. But that's why we're writing down that expense.
Okay.
Question, Councilman?
No, that was it.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay.
Continue.
So moving on, past the general fund, there's only a couple other funds that required slight budget amendments. The Major Streets Fund is requiring a $30,000 addition to expenditures for non-motorized improvements, and then $6,000 for maintenance.
And just so we're all on the same page, so this is the greenway that runs through the county park system? When you say greenway?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, and the 30,000 as it relates to the amendment for non-motorized improvements, what are those improvements?
I have, in phase one, we had a washout, so we had to replace that part of the boardwalk. And in phase two, we had another washout, so those parts of the boardwalk we have to improve.
Say that one more time and say it louder because I didn't hear you.
The boardwalk, we had a washout in phase one, that we had to repair. And in phase two, we had another washout where the boardwalk is starting to deteriorate, so we have to improve that.
Okay.
So we have to go out for bid and get some contractors to come in and do that work.
Okay.
Okay, local streets, $110,000 increase for maintenance, and then a decrease of vehicle maintenance of $20,000. And then finally, Parks and Rec. There is just one budget amendment here, $13,000 for special events.
And that'll be, of course, we're talking about the general fund, but we want to make sure that we're clear that the Parks and Rec budget is actually funded by a millage, correct?
Yes.
That is correct,
So
yes.
this 13,000 that we're talking about is part of the general fund. How?
No, this is not general fund. This
Okay.
is money being spent out of the Parks and Rec fund, out of the Parks and Rec millage.
Okay.
Yep,
Completely separate from general.
Okay, so we want to amend that.
yes.
Okay.
And that is all of the budget amendments. Any questions?
Questions, council? Let's get those lights back up, Jerome. I know somebody had questions, it's the budget, so let's talk about it. You want to start anywhere? No question.
I have one.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm really puzzled about.
Go ahead.
I noticed you indicated that the 1.8 and 1.7 million, and you know, being in certain organizations and being in certain businesses, I just wonder why all the way down 3 months before the year ends that we're coming and saying that we got to make all these amendments. Now I know down through the years, I know a lot of businesses and organizations, cities and schools and everything, they wait kind of to the end and they do some budget adjustments. But I'm looking at $1.7 million, okay, and I'm just wondering why wasn't no amendments done prior. You got 3 months, okay, so that kind of puzzles me. You wait so late, 3 months, and then talking about making some amendments to the budget to bring it down, okay, which I don't really, and looking at the budget that I have, I don't see the justifications. You're telling us that you're showing where we're running into certain debts on certain things, we're making some amendment cuts, but you also said that it's not going to bring us where we're supposed to be, and it's where I hear you saying.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just wondering why all the way 3 months before the end of the year.
Sure.
Now, I do know good accountings make adjustments, trying to make the balanced budget looks good, okay? But we've been running this debt for quite some months.
Yeah, so we typically try to do a mid-year adjustment 6 months into the year. So either before or right after Christmas, bring a big amendment to you. The problem was this year, your audit was late, and so we don't have the prior year wrapped up, and so we're not spending as much time working on the current year operations. Our focus is looking backwards to finish June 30, 19. So going forward, I would prefer to do, if not a quarterly, then at least one halfway through, and then another one 3/4 of the way through, and then another one right before the end of the year, late May, middle of June, to try to get the budget in line with spending. But you're right. Some of these things were known 2, 3, 5 months ago, but the finance department was really focused on getting the audit done, and we didn't finish it till after the end of the calendar year. So that's why it's a little bit later than it should be.
And also, Councilman, when Brian made his presentation back in, was that December?
December.
He did indicate that, the time, that there was going to be a budget amendment forthcoming. I think we gave a projection at that time. And, so that there was some transparency in terms of what the current fiscal year budget, and we knew it would take a couple months in order to get the specific numbers to council.
Okay. But what I'm saying, any kind of accountant, is what I'm saying is, when you're running, just like your own household or anywhere else, when you're running X amount of dollars in the hole, okay, you got to start making these adjustments. Somebody should have seen these adjustments prior to the auditors even coming in here. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, for sure.
These overruns should have been noted and dealt with. Okay, we wait all the way till the auditors come in here. Okay, now I do admit, Plant Moran came in and and they was trying to show us certain items that we had. But now, it wasn't told that we had all of these overruns coming in here, because see, we should have dealt with it right then. Way before then. See, now, I'm not an accountant, but I do know one thing. I know good and well, if I'm running my bank account and it's not going to take me out to the end of the month where it's supposed to, I got to make some adjustments. And see, to me, it seemed like it wasn't no adjustments done. Now, I don't know who to blame or whatever like that, but I'm just saying, I'm looking at some overruns. I went through this budget, and I'm very puzzled about a lot of things that I see. The questions that I have. And you got to say, I mean, I was told we got a treasurer here, we got Plant Moran, and I'm looking at the figures that we're paying for the kind of accountability, and are we really getting it? I mean, maybe I'm the only one wrong. 'Cause I definitely, I don't like the way I do not like the way this audit came out. I do not like the way the budget's looking. So I'm just making that comment.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chair?
Mayor Pro Tem?
Okay, I'm here to speak because I've been on council, this is my third term. Last term, last 4 years ago, 4 years, I have been complaining about this budget. The budget is online, budget is open to the public, nobody was here. So, when you looking at the budget online like you looking now, you could have came to council, any of you guys, with the complaints that you've had. But just think about it. It's online. And we talked about that quite some time, not only just 4 years ago, for the past 8 years I've been on council. When we have budget talks, we don't have people in here. Felicia put it on the internet saying, hey, it's open to the public. When we go over it in council, nobody has any questions. Now, I do know that I was complaining about this budget for 4 years ago. And I know some other people was complaining that we were spending too much money. But at the end of the day, it's the mayor's budget. So if the mayor say, okay, I want this, that's where it's going to be if the council passes it. This is how our charter is set up. No checks and balances. We have to get some checks and balances, people. You know, people, when we passed that charter, nobody read how much power the actual mayor has. And if you don't have a council sitting up here on this board that's looking at these numbers, it's got to come by us at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen. And if we approve it, that's what's going on. So it's almost like, no, it's not the checks and balances. Because if you don't have a council that's out for Inkster versus an individual, we're going to be stuck every time, ladies and gentlemen. You have to be independent thinking up here. You have to think about Inkster when you sit behind this desk, not an individual person. I love everybody, but if you're not coming to me or anybody correct, I'm not going to do it. That's when we have to break it down and be strong as a council. We have to be more in. We have to ask questions. And if it comes to our desk, if it's not right, no. We have to not do it. But that charter is going to be the death of us. And I argued about that when it got passed. You don't have checks and balances. So at the end of the day, if I'm the mayor, I say, I know something wrong, put it through. It's like Trump doing now. Would everybody up there know he's doing stuff wrong, but you don't have 2 whistleblowers coming out. And you do have good people working in our area, in our department. And I commend every one of them.
The whistle got blown when y'all banned me from city council.
No, you out of order, man.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I didn't ban you from anything, sir. So,
You don't have to speak to that.
but
You out of order.
here's my thing. We have to look at what's going on and stop looking at the person. We have to look at it as a whole. And until we do that, Inkster is going to go down. We have to come together. It's not about any individual. It's about keeping our city afloat. You've seen the charts. So we have to all come together and make sure that our city is going to improve. And hold all of us accountable. Come to the meetings. Come to our budget amendments. Come to our budget when we talk about the budget. But if you don't come, you don't know.
And that's the part, Mayor Pro Tem, even if you have a city manager in play. Because it's been going on for 12
Well, it's been
years.
going on, but what I'm saying, but it's the council. It's the council at the end of the day, true.
Exactly. So we want to make sure that
Well, and I said that. I said all of that. But what I'm saying is we can't put fingers at people, administrative, because at the end of the day, they only doing what they told. If they say, okay, put this through, I'm the manager. I want it done. But it's the council as a whole to look in it to catch it and say, no, we didn't have that. We didn't have it from the audience either. But it's online. But if you don't have information, then you come up to us. But what I'm saying is, if you're not going at this together, you're not going to catch it. It's going to take all of us to come together as a council to catch things in this budget.
That's good. It sounds like we're doing that now.
We are. And I'm not saying we're not doing it, but what I'm saying is there was complaints last 4 years about this budget, because I was complaining every day that we were spending too much money and we wasn't getting revenue. So, okay, I'm done.
I won't go back to you, Reverend Williams, yet, Councilman Williams, yet. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Councilman Williams, back to you, sir.
Okay, first of all, I'm not going to sit up here and play the blame game. Okay, first of all, yes, we've been in the full-time mayor, and the mayor was strictly responsible for the budget, but council's also strictly responsible also. Okay, I watch, and we'll pull all the minutes, and I'm just saying this, and I'll leave it alone. We'll pull every minute of the previous years that you sat on council and show me a time that you ever call some meetings and sit down with the treasurer or the mayor and go over the figures of the city. Okay? See, you all got a responsibility sitting at this table. Okay? Now, I feel bad whenever I got to ask the treasurer or Plant Moran come here and ask them about certain things that I see that I don't like. But that's our responsibility as a council person. Okay? The mayor can't mess the city up by herself. Okay? It takes us to be the watch persons over the whole city. We have to look over this city. And when the mayor ain't doing what he's supposed to do, you understand? We put him on notice.
That's what it is.
Okay? And then another thing, nobody really was shocked about this, first of all, because we lit up and we had faith and trust in our mayor. Our mayor stood up and told us, well, we got sponsors going to sponsor the Summerfest. But then I sit here and see they spent $66,000 on the Summerfest. Then they turned around and you talk about the debt situation. I was told that we had $300 million surplus.
3 million, not 300 million.
3 million. Yeah, 3 million surplus. So why should I have to worry about anything when we're looking at the finances saying that we got 3 million? Okay? So I'm not going to sit up here and play the blame game, but we got some work to do.
Yeah. Yeah, we got some work to do. We're gonna get it done. Okay. All right. Then. So let me just ask this final question though, because this is very important. The city borrowed from the state $3 million in 2012. Is it 2012?
I believe so.
Okay. And that debt is gonna start to come to in what year?
I believe that's March of 2022.
Yeah,
Okay, and
it's 10 years.
Putting money to the side for that, correct?
There's a $50,000 annual set aside for the emergency loan payback.
Okay, and that's been reflected where?
In each annual budget.
And it's now we have it. Where is it?
You really don't. I mean, what you have in general fund is right there.
So
that's what you have. There's not a separate side fund with $50,000 a year in it.
All right. Okay.
We need a category to put $50,000 away, right?
Yeah, we probably gonna end up having to do a little bit more than that, but okay.
We gotta do
Any other questions? Any questions? No questions?
I'm just confused. Okay, now I'm just asking you a question. Now, you just said because you just made me confused. You saying we got to put away $50,000? I heard we had to pay them back $300,000 a year in 2021.
We do starting then, but we were supposed.
What you talking about putting away $50,000?
We were supposed to put 50,000 starting in 2012, all the way through now, so we can have that money so when they hit the general.
And we haven't done that.
General
Is that what you're saying?
So just to clear it up, and Brian, you can kind of, correct me if I say anything that's wrong. When the city received the emergency loan, the city was required to make annual budget appropriations for $50,000. There was no requirement for the city to restrict those funds within the general fund balance. So essentially what was required and what's been done since the city got that loan back in 2012 was, if you look at each budget, there's an annual appropriation for $50,000 in each of those annual budgets going back since 2012. As required by the emergency loan. The thought was that, you each year you sock away $50,000 and then you have some monies to utilize as the loan becomes due beginning in 2022. So we make those annual appropriations, but the city has never taken any additional steps to restrict the funds that they can only be used for the emergency loan. So we meet the requirement of the emergency loan that each year we put $50,000 into the budget, but there's no additional steps have ever been taken on top of that to restrict those funds so that they are accumulating and being restricted for use only towards the emergency loan payback.
So if you want to look at it this way, so I agree that it's in the budget, $50,000 a year, we're going to save it. We're going to spend less than we take in by 50 grand. So after 8 years, that's $400,000, but that $400,000 is included in the $1.8 million number at June 30, 2019.
As unrestricted, and it's not restricted.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair.
Oh, yes, sir, I'm sorry. Councilman, yes, sir.
Now, you taught this class about MML, and that's one of the things that I kept asking about. Can we set up a line item to restrict certain funds? And you talked about that. Can you speak to that?
Sure. So council can set up what's called a commitment. So a commitment is when you commit funds that can only be undone by council action. So I think that's what we spoke about at the training, yes.
That's what we need to do.
And that's
Yeah.
exactly.
So that is an option.
That's one of the things that'll be coming before us as we look at.
I'm glad you were paying attention.
Of course.
I think just to
Learn something this.
just so we're all on the same page, just to point out, as it relates to what happened when go back to the slides where you showed in 2015 versus expenditures and revenues. So you see the blue line is the revenues and expenditures are what they are. And then, of course, 16, 17, 18, 19. To the best of your ability, kind of what happened? What happened? I mean, I know we overspent, but what type of line items?
There were a lot of part-time people that became full-time. And when full-time people become full-time people, then there's additional benefit costs that go along with it.
So let's get down to it. So the consent decree that we were under in 2015 said this is what you need to have in order to stay on this line, on this plane, right?
Solving.
Right.
And then, so that was with part-time people.
A lot of part-times, yes, a lot of part-timers in public safety and elsewhere
Police
in the
department,
city.
primarily.
Police, fire.
Yep. And the city, my understanding, I wasn't working with you at the time, but my understanding was that service level was not acceptable or desired, and that you wanted full-time people.
Correct.
Well, they were hired or promoted.
We couldn't afford it. That's why we went to that. I was here.
Right.
So
Exactly.
that's why we went to that, because we could not afford it, and we shouldn't have never went there, because we wasn't solvent yet.
wasn't solvent.
I agree with you, sir.
And the thing is that we have to pride ourselves in being solvent. I'm not concerned about all these businesses and this, that, and the other, but we have to be solvent financially before we do anything. And that's what the state was looking at. If we didn't have this money, and it continues to look at us because they want this city, and we cannot sit up here and afford to look no more at these people and not have a solvent city, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, well, let me say that the state doesn't want us. We're working closely with the state. Plant Moran and I, we've met with the Treasury Department. Joyce Parker, who used to be our city manager here, is we're actually set to meet with her through our lobbyist, Ken Cole. And we will be coming back to this body with a plan on what we're going to do. we know that, and I just wanted to make sure we brought it out because, again, it's painful, but we're going to have to look at the overall staffing levels of our community, knowing that safety is number one, though, as it relates to a priority and keeping that hold. That's important, that we have police and fire that's working, and, they're working in a manner where they're not overrun. And that's what's kind of happening because we don't have enough people right now, even for police. Not necessarily saying fire. Fire, I think we're at the levels that we at the levels, right, on fire. But police, we definitely are overstretched. So some things that we're going to have to do, some things we're going to have to look at, bringing in revenue. But I believe that if we put our heads together, we can accomplish it. But we have to start to get positive and focused on what we need to do, and then stick to it and do it. And we can't beat each other up about it. We just got to be together as we're moving forward. And it's going to be tough, but we can do it. I'm pretty sure we can.
We owe it to these people.
Oh, no doubt. That's why we're sitting here.
Can you speak up a little bit?
That's why we're sitting here. We owe it to the people. They voted us here. I mean, I get people coming to council meeting and getting involved. We definitely want them to do that. But at the end of the day, they trust us at the end of the day to hold the line. And we're responsible. So I'll take full responsibility to moving forward and correcting it.
Now, Mr. Chair, I know that, we need to definitely look at these, internal controls.
Yes, sir. We're doing that for sure.
We definitely have to do that because, there was made some mentions about some things in the audit.
Yeah.
That they strongly suggest.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. For sure. Yeah. And I'm the manager, so I'm definitely going to manage it. We'll get those controls in place.
Now, we didn't get, I don't know how you're going to do the budget to actuals on a monthly basis or on a quarterly basis.
Yeah, monthly.
But we didn't get them.
Okay.
So,
any particular reason?
Well, they were included in this packet. I can send them separately, but this packet that we sent included the.
Yeah, that was right at this time.
Yeah. So I mean, we were working on, as soon as those were completed, we sent those to you.
Does everybody have a login in the city council for BSNA? To be able to look at the budget live?
We need that. We used to have it.
Okay. You guys don't have that?
Yeah, we used to
So
have it.
let's make sure that we get that for them. But they should have it. So then you can actually go right into, the actuals yourself, and then we can help you.
But we do have been sending out those, those reports. I know Councilwoman Williams also requested a vendor report. This is the January. I can send a separate report, and also we need to get you the vendor report because that wasn't part of it.
All right, then. So it looked like we need some action, though, right, on the amendments? Do we need, this is an
It's
action
later on
item
your
or no?
agenda, but yes.
Yeah, and so I know last time we had talked, we had committed to presenting the information to council and then giving them time to digest it.
Okay.
And then vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay, I'm good with that.
So we did not have a resolution at this, if that, obviously if the council wants to pass it now, but we wanted to present the information, give you a chance to.
It's the pleasure of the council, whatever you guys want to do. I mean, I'm inundated with the information, so
You want to put it on the agenda?
it's totally up to you guys. We can.
It's on there.
It's on your agenda, new business.
Agenda item.
Okay, y'all talking, but what we voting on?
There you go, and that's what I'm saying. So we got to make sure that we're clear.
So it's the budget amendment that was presented. It covers the general fund. It also includes local and major streets, parks and rec, and there's water fund included in that. And so it's the budget amendments that were sent to you guys last week.
Now, what would that do?
So as was kind of outlined in their presentation, the purpose of this budget amendment is to essentially, based on the year-to-date information and how we project the remainder of the fiscal year is going to go, to get that budget, the current budget, get it amended so that it more accurately reflects where we are and where we expect to be at the end of the year.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I got to go back to the same question. Where will we end up at if we make these amendment cuts here? What are we looking at?
All the numbers that he presented were based on the budget amendments. That was taken into consideration, the budget amendment that was presented.
Okay, let me put it in the elementary level. Will that put us in a deeper debt, out of debt?
No. It's what he presented. What was presented was the numbers that he presented were the projections based on the budget amendments.
And that's gonna make us go deep in the hole.
And we would end with about $1 million in fund balance at the end of this fiscal year.
Oh, okay.
But we have to do the amendments.
Okay.
Now, keep in mind, whether we amend it or not, we're still on that same, it doesn't change the trajectory that we're spending.
That's right.
This is just to try and get the budget synced up with what we're currently expending.
Yep. All right.
I move for approval, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, it's on there already, so we're good. So we keep moving on the agenda. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right. Public hearing, consent agenda.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it, motion carried. Boards and commissions, going around? Anyone, boards and commissions? I heard what you said.
Mac Willis would like to be reappointed to the planning commission.
Yeah, I saw that. Okay. Anybody else? No others? All right. Okay, first read, second read. New business?
Consideration and approval for a budget amendment to the general fund, water and sewer, and street funds.
What's your pleasure?
So moved.
Been moved, any support?
Support.
Been moved and support, any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Ayes have it, motion carries.
Item B is consider approval of a special land use for proposed medical marijuana cultivation facility in the M1 Light Industrial District at 2740 Beach Daily between Princeton and the railroad tracks. Sam Baidoon, on behalf of SBR Holdings LLC, is the applicant.
What's your pleasure?
So move.
Moved, is there support? Been moved, is there support?
Support.
Been moved and supported. Discussion?
Question, Mr. Chair.
Question?
As we may mention earlier, was there a letter sent out to the residents that were in the area? I know there's probably only a few, but it went out to a radius of folks that this was coming to their neighborhood and to welcome them out to a public hearing.
Ms. Jordan, can you speak to that, please?
So, again, as we stated earlier,
Speak up a little bit. I'm sorry.
again, as we stated earlier, in compliance with the Michigan Zoning Enabling Act, a public notice was sent to residents, property owners, and businesses within 300 feet of the subject property. It was also posted in the local newspaper, and again, as required by Michigan law, it was posted and sent out to residents at least 15 days before the public hearing.
That's all I have, Mr. Chair.
Any other questions? Any other questions? Hearing none. Roll call, please.
Councilman Chisholm,
Yay.
Councilman Williams,
Yes.
Councilwoman Howard,
No.
Councilman Shaw, Councilwoman Washington,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wiley.
Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. So, yes.
Good, motion passes. All right.
Item C is consideration for entering into a contract with the Inkster Housing Commission and the Inkster Police Department for supplemental police services with an officer dedicated in the Inkster Housing Commission.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Support.
Move to support, I like that. Well, some of y'all like it, y'all jump right on. All right.
Hey, I like
There
this.
you go. All right. Any discussion? Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, I probably should have just said that this officer is going to be starting hopefully with his contract within the next
April 1 we're looking at.
April 1.
April 1, we just needed.
So that's a new officer that's going to be paid for by the Inkster Housing Commission. That'll be dedicated to Inkster Housing Commission. In that area, we're looking at the mini station at the corner of Middle Belt and Pine, being kind of the office and launch pad for the police officer in that area, along with some auxiliary support. Anything else?
You covered it, man.
Okay. All right, then. Moving right along. Public participation, sorry. Pastor Overman? Okay.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So good to see everyone. I have some good news for our families.
You can speak up, please. Speak into the mic, please.
I have some good news. Pi Day is the 14th, 3:14 at the complex. So I want to share that while I find my Facebook page to read. Yes. Oh, good. I won't have to talk about Pi Day. Thank you, Jan. So today we had a meeting down at Wayne Metro where I'm one of the board members, and the governor was there to sign the bill 5124, which is an amazing bill, pay as you stay. Once you're enrolled, all interest, penalties, and fees would be eliminated to reduce an undue burden on homeowners. The balance due would be limited to back taxes only, or 10% of a home's taxable value, whichever is lowest. The remaining balance would be paid back over 3 years at 0% interest. So this way, our families that are in foreclosure, you get to keep your house.
All right.
The one mom that was there, she was paying $450 a month. With this program, she'll be paying $50 a month, and she'll receive her property back twice as fast. So this is an amazing bill. Our own state rep, Mr. Joel Jones, was a part of that. His name is on that bill. So that's something that we can celebrate, right? Because we want homeowners in Inkster, right? So that will bring taxes back to our community. And I am here to talk about Robichaud and Westwood Schools and the sinking fund. Please, everyone, let's support that. Let's support keeping that school district looking good. The building on Beach Daily has been like that since, I think he said 18 something. And Robichaud, I know, is 1960. And the one on Annapolis is in the early 1900s, since they've had repairs. The sinking fund would not take a lot of money. A house that's $100,000 is only $20 a year. So it only decreases with the home's value. So this is something, and I know we're talking about taxes and everything, but we've really got to make sure that we support things, because the only way things get done in communities is we have to take some and use some of our money. And that's okay to do. It's okay to support things that's worth it. And there's nothing more important than education and having a good, safe, clean place for children to attend school in the city of Inkster. We do know that Thorne and Daly are in the city of Inkster. So let's make sure that we support that bill. Also, the Western Wayne County NAACP will be doing phone banking this Saturday at 10 o'clock at Christ Temple, City Core over on Carlisle at our church. We will be calling everyone, reminding them that March 10th is a very important day for all of us, and to get out and vote. So please join us. If you like, you certainly can call the numbers on our Western Wayne County NAACP Facebook site, as well as everybody has Operation Refuge's information. You can contact me. What you can do is bring your cell phone and just call. We have a van with everyone that's registered, those that voted in the last election, those that voted in the prior years and did not vote. We have that information, and all you can do is make phone calls. We also have your individual street precinct delegates. You can reach out to me. I have your streets and who voted last. So please, let's do this. Let's make it happen. Thank you.
All right. Ruth Williams?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm here on behalf of the Inkster Chamber of Commerce. We have our 21st annual mix. I'm hoping everybody there have their tickets, Kim, George. But yeah, it's on March the 24th. And once again, it's our 21st annual. We have it every year. So I'm hoping everybody can come. It's at the Inkster Recreation Complex.
At what time?
It's actually, we have like mix and mingle from 4:30 till 6, and then we have dinner at 6 o'clock.
Good. Any questions? Good. All right, thank you. We'll see you there. Jennifer Williams?
Good evening, Mayor, Council, citizens of the City of Inkster. My name is Jennifer Williams. I'm speaking on behalf of Operation Refuge Camp Inspire STEM program. On March 14th, Camp Inspire will be hosting our second annual Pi Day celebration at the Inkster Complex. Some may ask why. Because everyone should be able to enjoy a fun mathematical holiday. Camp Inspire STEM program is celebrating Pi Day for a Pi Day Fun Day on March 14th. It's an annual celebration of the mathematical constant. Some of you may have remembered participating in contests to see who can remember the most numbers of pi in your school days, or maybe you've had a student that you've worked with memorizing the infinite numbers of pi. Camp Inspire is passionate about creating life-changing, transformative experiences that ignite, cultivate brilliant minds in young ladies, 5th through 12th grade, through fun and innovative ways while increasing science, technology, engineering, arts, and math awareness within our community and surrounding communities. On March 14th, we're asking for each and every individual to come out and join us for this never-ending number celebration with middle and high school students along with the community. The event will be open to all. However, our target age is 5th through 12th grade. Pi Day Fun Day participants will enjoy a day filled with STEM-based activities that are meant to enrich and deepen students' understanding of the concept of pi and other STEM-related concepts. This is, excuse me, this is meant to be community engagement for our young people. It's not just for girls, it's for young boys and young ladies as well. And as most of you may know, a lot of times when they have pie contests in the schools, the student who can remember the most number of pie has the opportunity to pie the principal or someone in the administration. So on behalf of Camp Inspire, I am asking for a volunteer from our city council or mayor to be willing to volunteer to be pied. Last year, our champion actually was a 3rd grader, and I think she probably got up to like 50 numbers in the number of pie. And the winner will also, get the honors of pieing 1 or 2 or 3 of our council people with our 1st, 2nd, 3rd place winners, as well as won a $100 prize. If anyone would like to volunteer for the event, run a table, a booth, a hands-on activity, feel free to see me or contact me. I cannot wait for the outpouring of volunteers from our council members that will be willing to be pied on March 14th. This will be held at the Dozier Center. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. Whose hand? Denard's? All right. Last year was a great success. Councilwoman Washington came out. We received a proclamation from our state senator. Debbie Dingell came. Who else was there? A Congresswoman sent a representative as well. So it was an amazing event. It's not to intimidate any young people. It's for them to have a good time and really just kind of get some hands-on learning activities for the day. So on March 14th, no one should say I have nothing to do. Grab a neighbor, grab a friend, and come on out. Thank you.
All right, good. Question?
Hi, Jen. What time is that on March the 14th?
10:30 to 2:30, and
Okay. Thank you.
I could give you a quick flyer as well.
Okay, thank
Me and the
you.
chief are going to be out to be pied.
All right.
You and the chief?
The more the merrier. The kids will enjoy it.
Okay, thank you.
Police and fire, we'll both be there.
I don't think he heard you.
Oh, yeah, he heard me. Chief like to eat, so it'll be good. He going to be there with me. All right.
I said, she can bring it back. I'm looking, tipping him. I said, Pat, 214, he's 314. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to go back. We going back.
Right.
Oh,
We're
Lord.
gonna have a contest. Gate Henderson? Oh. Chief Hubbard say he volunteered? Good.
She said that.
Yes, sir, come on. Take your time.
No. Hello, family. How's everybody doing today? I love you all and all that. There's a few things I just want to speak on. We had some, some deaths and some sickness in our family of Inkster. I want to say some prayers. I have some prayers for Leo Brown, one of the major, citizens. He's in the hospice. And, of course, we know the passing of Miss Shirley Shockley. She was adamant about doing a whole lot of progressive things in our neighborhood. Okay, and we still have our after-school program going on Tuesday at the rec complex, helping the kids, and their, schooling and all and so forth. And I want to thank everybody who came out to our Block Hub, Black History program. Yeah, it was a wonderful program, and got a chance to see the new library. Beautiful place. Beautiful person. It's old saying, always write in the stone. Okay, it's got many old books and magazines and stuff like that. I know we got good computers and all that. I'm glad they try to keep the old and the new. At one time, Alexander, that guy, they called him Alexander Great, he came and burned down that great library, Alexander, and all that burned. But it's good we had something stone, so let's keep it in stone. Everybody utilize that library. It's a beautiful place to come together, for our kids after school and all that. And I think that's about it. Yeah, no, I ain't. Somebody trying to get me to say something about chicken coops? Well, no, I ain't gonna say that. But I want to say this. Yes, chicken noodle soup is good, especially this time. Cod liver oil. Okay, no, seriously, cod liver oil, oatmeal and all that, and take some zinc and some vitamin C. We got that virus that's going on. Coronavirus. And so anything we can do to keep ourselves healthy, we know some of them old methods, let's try to get all that stuff in and keep ourselves healthy and all that. And I love y'all. We one family, 7.7 billion of us. Yeah, and so we're going to have to keep on loving and helping one another. And I thank you. All right.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Will Miller? Oh, Will, you waiting for the last minute to put your, come on, man.
I start saying stuff I want to talk about.
Go ahead.
Hello, my name is Will Miller. Good day to everybody, Council, Mayor. I had a question I wanted to ask the Baydoun group before they walked up out the room, so I'm going to go ahead and pose it to you guys. With regards to benefiting the community, with them getting an opportunity like that to do some work in the city, are they going to be, is there a benefits ordinance or agreement that has already been worked out that perhaps we don't know about as far as jobs for the community? J-Mo was back here screaming about it with regard to at least 51% of the jobs going to Inkster residents in the community.
Yeah, we're working on something like that right now with the new administration to bring a community benefits agreement together with the marijuana process.
Is that something that they're going to be able to be held to now?
Oh, yeah, they will be. Yeah.
Okay.
So they have to build a structure.
Yes, sir.
So it's going to take them about a year or so to finish with the process right now.
Okay.
So they'll be part of that.
It's going to be like, so Inkster carpenters,
Oh, no doubt.
bricklayers.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, community benefits agreement across the board.
Okay. Let's see. Other than that, I second this. The library was beautiful. It was a great opportunity to see it. I'm glad I was a part of it. Also, thank you so much coming from the housing department with regard to the police officer. I'm about to go talk to the director about that now. Thank y'all so much for that. Thank y'all for the time. I appreciate it.
Thank you. All right. Annette? It's Can, right? Kane. Okay. Okay. I got you.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council,
Good evening.
residents of Inkster. My name is Lynette Kane, and I am the Executive Director of Opportunity Tennis Academy. And basically, I'm just here today to just let you all know that we are here in the city of Inkster, so if you can hopefully pass the word and just to let you know a little bit about us. Basically, we founded Opportunity Tennis Academy, myself, Maurice, who is standing here with me, and his wife, Tanisha Shropshire, back in the summer of 2019. We started off in Westland in the summertime because they had courts, and your courts weren't quite ready for us yet. Through that time, from basically May through the end of December of 2019, we had about 37 individual student athletes come to our program. We had about 377 hours of volunteer time from people in the community, our family, and friends, and things like that. We are now currently at the Inkster Rec Center. We have a 6-week program from 10 o'clock a.m. to 12 o'clock p.m. And basically what we do is you get 50 minutes to an hour of tennis instruction, and then you get another 50 minutes to an hour of an educational component, which is basically some character building for our student athletes. So basically we just want you to know that we are here. We're in the city of Inkster. What we hope, I happen to have a son who's about 8 at this point, but he's been playing tennis since he was 4. And unfortunately, when we go to tournaments, we have to go to different areas. We just were in Rochester Hills a couple weeks ago. There's no tennis hub here in the Western Wayne area, so we are hoping to work with the city to kind of keep Inkster Rec as our home base and grow that into being a tennis hub in the Western Wayne area.
Awesome.
Thank
you. We currently have over 15 parks. None of them have a tennis court that we can use. We go to Westland to play tennis during the summertime. Right now we are indoors, like she said, but we would like to be home to play tennis instead of going somewhere else. So it's giving our kids something else to do, other opportunities for other educational scholarships, friendships. The list goes on and on. But just give us an opportunity, just like we're giving our children an opportunity to play tennis. Help us with our courts. Help us with our parks and recreation. If we take care of our children, everything else will take care of itself.
You're right.
Question, Councilwoman Welly?
Yes, I do. Have you made contact with Ned Sanders yet?
We have.
You
Mr.
have?
Ned,
Okay,
yeah,
good.
we've talked to Mr. Ned.
Also,
Yep.
as I recall, there's some money for the tennis courts in the recreation budget or
Yes, ma'am.
something of that nature, so they're supposed to be getting them together. You might want to also check, because a few years ago they had tennis. That's when I first met Jewel Jones. He's about 6. But you may want to check Westwood. Westwood School also has some courts.
Yes,
That
at
may let
Robichaud.
us
We've been
utilize.
playing at Robichaud for the last 5 or 6 years, because that's the only court that's
Yeah, right.
close
So
to Inkster.
I'm just trying to find different ways, because believe it or not, I even took it, and I found out how easy it was once you knew how to play. And I think our kids deserve that type of
Absolutely
thing.
agree.
So, yeah, keep in touch and let me know what I can do to help you guys.
I will. I will, Ms. Wiley. One last thing.
Yes.
Due to some excellent anonymous donors, we do have 3 scholarships available for our next 6-week session. The deadline is March 14th. So again, we have some flyers if you want to talk to us after. We have a Facebook page, opportunitytennis@gmail.com. 3 scholarships. We certainly hope that it goes to an Inkster child.
All right, thank you so very much.
Thank you.
All right, good. So this closes our part of public participation, but before we get off all the way into it, I would like to recognize the councilwoman from Rumlis. Would you like to come up, ma'am? You guys had a meeting tonight, didn't you?
Yes.
Oh, you already out?
Real short.
Oh, you're already out. Oh.
I prayed for it to be short. Good evening to the honorable elected officials and the rest of the staff and also the audience. I'm just here tonight to inform the Inkster residents of what's going on in the Romney School District. Mr. Williams and Councilman George Williams and Timothy Williams was there at that meeting, and some other folks. Our president of Romney School District, he voted. He actually made a personal decision. It wasn't a decision based on facts to get rid of a man that was holding the position as the superintendent. On Thursday, they decided to suspend him for 10 days. 4 days later, they came back and fired him. So I wanted the folks in Inkster, because I'm not a backdoor person, and I was hoping that he would be here lying so I can catch him. But I wanted the folks in Inkster to know what this guy is doing in Romulus, because he has a tendency to go around and pretend that he's doing something other than what he's doing. Our school district right now is in shambles.
Oh, wow.
It's in shambles. They tried to make the curriculum director the interim superintendent. She gave a 1-week notice. They're dropping like flies. So if you think your kids are in Romulus schools and getting a good education, that's not true. They're in shambles. And the folks in Inkster, where their kids go into that district, they need to attend these meetings, because the folks that push for this African-American overly qualified superintendent to be fired don't even live in our district. And they have teaching our kids. You see some of the handwriting that these students are writing all the way up to the 12th grade. You can't even hardly read it. So I ask that the Inkster residents start paying attention to what's happening in the city of Romulus. Because nobody that can't vote in that city should have a voice that strong to get rid of someone in that manner. It was double jeopardy. 1 week, you suspend them for 10 days, and 4 days later, you come back and fire them. So the folks in Inkster need to know that. So whenever Martell come here with things that's not of truth, tell them Ms. Williams already been here. Thank you.
Curtis St. Birch. 2020 census. This is part of my time, so this is fine. So just go ahead.
Hello, Inkster.
Hello.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, other officials. We are on the move. We had our groundbreaking or kickoff on Friday last. We had a good crowd, probably not as much as we expected, but we have the support, solid support of many people in Inkster. Our biggest cry is to get support from those who have not been active in the legislative body. There are many that have, but those who have not been active, it's time to step up. And those in administration, I can only say have been nothing short of wonderful. We enjoyed the presence of our clerk, our fire chief, our Councilman Chisholm, Councilman Williams, who's also a member of the Complete Count Committee. But we are at this point are asking, and we're asking over and over again for more Complete Count committees to join us in our effort, because we keep saying be counted, be counted, be counted. But what we are aiming for is to stand here and say we have been counted. And the only way to do that is for everybody to make the commitment, make it a personal issue that you want to bring more revenue to the city. We were blessed to invite ourselves to the ministerial breakfast on Thursday. We had not previously been included, so we invited ourselves. And thank you, Councilman Williams. But we learned more things at the ministerial breakfast. We had been told by the Census Bureau, both Wayne County and the Federal Census Bureau, that the funding was around $1,800 per person. What is it, Reverend Williams? 4,000. Every time we count another body, it's 3 to 4. Yeah. I wouldn't go to 4 simply because they said a high 3, so I left it at 3. But that's information that we had previously not been privileged to. There were a few other things. I've known for quite a while that the census has a census bus. That bus will park in each city 1 day at a time. We plan to have an event. We would have our day at Booker Dozier, ask for those with transportation for people who cannot come, do not have transportation to come to Booker Dozier, to bring them to the van. The computers will be laid out, and the assistance from the Complete Count Committee, the Census Bureau, and Wayne County will be available to us on 1 day.
What is the date that we actually start the census? That's what I need to hear.
March 12th.
Okay.
We had aimed for the same annual date that it's been on the last many, many years,
March
April
12th,
1st.
someone to be out at your door?
No.
Okay.
March 12th, you will receive a letter.
Okay.
From the letters will be mailed out on March 12th to every address in America.
Okay.
From the Census Bureau, in that letter, there will be contained a personal identifier number that is specific to that address only. You can go to your telephone, fill out the 9 census questions with your personal identifier number. You can go to your laptop, and in some cases and in some areas in Inkster, they will still send forms. However, you have your letter, and if you choose not to do the form, put it in your computer. Do your information in your computer. Complete your application. It will tell you that you've completed the process. No one else can use that number again. So when you do it, count everybody. Make sure that everybody who did not have another legal address the night that you fill out that form is counted on your census. Because if you don't have it, everybody lives somewhere. And if I'm staying with you waiting for my place to be ready, I live there.
That's right. Okay. All right, we're gonna keep talking about it, so thank you so much.
Okay, one more effort that a couple of the
Quickly.
couple of the ministers have, and one business owner has asked us to do a walk your block. That's the newest idea that we're entertaining now, and we're going to start with the precinct delegates and the block clubs and get as many people as we possibly can to just do your block, knock on doors from on an organized date. And please visit the census site on Facebook. That is Inkster, Michigan Census 2020. Okay?
Ms. Kirstein.
Go ahead. Question?
Now, will they come out to your...
If you do not fill out the form, as of April 1st, the enumerators will hit the street. And if your number, your personal identifier number, that's why we would prefer you use the number and do it by computer. Because if you haven't done it, they can tell immediately. And the enumerators will be dispatched to the particular addresses that have not complied. So that's why we want to do our walk before that, so we can make it easy work. Everybody can get their forms filled out and go from there.
All right, good then. Any more questions? Okay. City Clerk?
The city clerk's office will be open on March 7th, this Saturday. If you would like to receive an application, we'll be open from 7 to 3 p.m. So if you'd like to come get an application absentee ballot for the March 10th election, please stop by and see us. Thank you.
City Treasurer?
Just want to remind everyone the Board of Review will begin meeting next Monday. We'll be meeting on March 9th, March 16th, and March 17th. It's an opportunity for people to appeal their assessments, as well as they can apply for the exemptions, poverty exemptions, hardship exemption, and the veteran exemption. So that's going to be coming up, the Board of Assessment. And for more information to make an appointment, you can call 313-563-4267, which is the City Assessor's Office.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Williams. Communications, sir? Anything? No? Councilman Shaw?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just want to reiterate what Ms. Barnes was saying, that we have to really wrap ourselves around this census count. It's so vital to us. And now we got the dollar amount of projected dollar amount of $3,000 per person. You know, it's needed, folks. It's really needed, because when we talk about undesirable businesses coming to our city, this is vital, because this would give us the revenues that we need to progress in our city. Because without this, we can't do anything. You know, we can't get the dollars that we need. And then we bring in undesirable folks that we don't desire in our community to try to build up our tax base. So we really need to wrap ourselves around this census, and let's be counted. And Mr. Chair, you know, I spoke about how, you know, at the time when we were under the consent agreement, it was a very stressful time. And I believe that the state wanted to dissolve the city.
Yep.
wanted to dissolve the city, you know, and we were faced with that. And I just don't want us to have that same type of atmosphere
Correct.
during this time. So that's what I spoke about. You know, we don't need no dissolvement of our city. There's folks here that is here and has been here for all their lives. You know, so I'm glad that you on top of it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And being responsible, being transparent,
Yes, sir.
because we're looking for that as a council body.
Yes, sir.
We're looking for the mayor to do that.
No doubt. It will be
Mayor,
done.
That's
I
all
know
I
you,
have, Mr. Chairman.
I know, I said in heaven, but
You said nothing.
can I make this little, 1 second announcement?
You, go ahead.
Okay, now, a lot of people have been calling and thought that the person that passed was Miss Shirley Shockley, the legend of Inkster High, but she did not pass. It was Shirley Shockley, okay, that lived over in District 2. Okay, so I just want to clarify that, so you won't put Miss Shockley in the graveyard.
Oh, my God.
Thank you for clarifying that.
Yeah,
So I just want to clarify that.
Is that Miss Shockley that's on
Miss Shockley,
Avondale?
huh?
That's on Avondale?
I think it's
I think, yeah, over that way.
I think it's like Jeffrey Lane.
On Jeffrey Lane?
Jeffrey Lane, yeah.
Okay.
She then gave them district over there.
Okay.
The names are so familiar.
Yeah, for sure. Mayor Pro Tem, did you have something?
Thank you,
Yes,
Mr.
I
Matt.
did. I'm sorry. Yes, Saturday I had the pleasure of getting up, going to the ribbon cutting of the Inkster Library. It's beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. They did a wonderful job over there, I tell you. And when will it open again, Boothie? Okay, March the 27th. But they did a wonderful job, and our kids are going to be very proud. So I just want to give thanks to all the people that was involved in making that happen. Another thing, Mayor, I wanted to ask: are we getting calendars this year?
Yes.
Okay, so no. The reason why I asked, I didn't know. And,
Yes, we are.
okay, so here's the thing:
Yeah.
is there something that before the calendars is being distributed, maybe we can put a flyer in there regarding the census? Since it's,
Yeah, that's the things that's why it's taking so long.
okay.
Because with the new administration change, it was like a lot of different names and things of that nature that weren't included in it.
Okay.
One of the young ladies that's actually over it, she actually changed roles. She's our interim HR director now.
Okay.
And was doing the calendar, was appointed to do the calendar from last year. So we're working with her closely to get it done. It's at the printer right now, and it should be doors within the next week.
Okay,
So
because I was just
everyone's
wondering, are
gonna
we
get
using the
what
same company that we used before?
Yes, it's
Okay,
all the same stuff that you used last year.
a lot of my district didn't get calendars.
Okay.
When I walked to get petitions,
Okay.
a lot of people said they did not get calendars.
I'll make a note to make sure I follow
So-
up with all the addresses.
Yes,
Yes,
okay.
ma'am. But it's the same, because basically I inherited the
Well,
calendar
no, I was just
last
wondering,
year.
yeah, I know it was coming, but I didn't know when, but I was just wondering, can we insert something for the census?
Yes, we got it
Because
all
it's
on the
going
front
to
page and
okay,
everything.
because it's going to each and every
Yes,
house.
ma'am.
All right, that's it, that's all I had, Mayor.
Okay. You said you had something before?
Yes, I just wanted to also let residents know if your candidate has dropped off of the ballot, because some candidates have dropped off of the ballot, you are able to spoil your ballot and vote for someone else. So you are able to do that if your candidate has dropped off the ballot.
Okay. Councilwoman Wiley?
Nothing.
Councilman Chisholm?
Just a reminder to citizens, planning commission meetings second and fourth Mondays of the month at 6:30 right here in City Council chambers, and let's cancel. That's all I have.
Sir. Councilwoman Washington?
Wanted to wish everyone Women's History Month. So, happy Women's History Month. And then also March is Reading Month. It's a great time to stress the importance of literacy. And also, March the 8th is daylight savings time. So do not forget to put your clocks forward.
Oh, that's so nice. All right. The plug, right? All right. Did you have anything else?
Nope.
All right, good then. Call for adjournment?
Don't move.
And move? Support? All right. Adjournment. Thank you, guys.
Pick it up on excuse me, sir. Can you get this to your administrative assistant?
Yes, sir. I can.
Tell her I said thank you.